Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm so tired.
no, you're totally fine.
I had a very stressful vet appointment this morning, and I had and then so I didn't sleep right away, and then after I went to sleep, because I was worrying about it, but and then after I went to sleep, about an hour later, Stella came into the bedroom, just screaming bloody murder. Apparently, and I don't know how she got it in the middle of the night, she got like a hangnail, like a real bad one, on her big toe. So she was just in pain in the middle of the night. So she's just crying. We go into the bathroom. She's crying. And then I pulled the hangnail out, but that was something because I'm tired, so I didn't get it the first 2 tries. It just hurt her.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was real bad. And this is like 2 in the morning. So finally I pulled it out. It starts to bleed. She goes absolutely batshit for that. So I had to get like a Band-Aid on it. It was a fucking nightmare last night. And then she's wide awake, so she was having a hard time falling asleep, which meant I fell asleep in her chair for an hour, which means you didn't really fall asleep. You just stopped moving and stopped being aware of your surroundings while your body still worked to keep you upright. So
you became unconscious.
Yeah, that's what it was. So like I was just like it was just rough night. So that's why I'm so damn tired.
You're fine. You're totally fine.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Horrible Gaming Podcast you have chosen to listen or watch for whatever reason. I am not alone, nor am I ever alone. With me is...
Neil, a.k.a. a tiny wizard.
So we're gonna talk the Sony thing today, maybe something else, I don't know, we never even discussed the second talking point, but yeah, before we get into it, we gotta do the credits, as per se usual. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you're gonna see fancy graphics, and any of those that were custom or supplied to us, specially made, is made by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And, of course, the theme song of this and all of the shows here at OMG are provided by Nick Van Siders, and we thank him for that, the man who makes the music. And I almost said OMGW. I literally stopped on the W. So
you caught yourself.
I know. Yay me. Yay
See, guys,
me.
he can be taught.
Right? Old dogs can learn new tricks. Okay, so yeah.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Pause. I didn't start my stopwatch. I brought it up. It's still at 0. It was fucking retarded.
Only a minute. You did minute 12.
That's it. All right. We're going to go into Fanteraction. Let me get that up real quick. All right. Going in 3, 2, 1. That brings us to our first topic, and probably our most important topic. That's Fanteraction. This is where we talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your fans on YouTube, your comments on YouTube, on the podcast thread, on Discord. Anywhere we see them, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere we can remember. And I do want to say again, I'm going to be giving this disclaimer for a little while. Our recording schedule is effed up, but we don't want to mess with our release schedule. So we're actually recording these Thursday night at 9:30. Obviously, the podcast goes up on YouTube Wednesday morning at 8. It barely gives you 48 hours to post a comment. If you post a comment after this, please still post the comment. I will read them the week after. I promise. I will get to them. I'm making notes. I'm keeping track. If we miss you for whatever reason, it is because of our release schedule. But please keep them coming. Keep talking to us. We would appreciate it. So, let's go into it. Well, let me start with the Discord, because we had a couple on Discord, which was nice. A nice change of pace podcast. All right. So, right off the bat, Kev Too Tall posted a little link. CD Projekt Red needs to shut down and go away. is what he said with this link, and that was CD Projekt Red is using Kickstarter to raise funds for Witcher Ronin. The campaign is way past its goal, but why did it need crowdfunding in the first place? Is what it says. And I didn't actually get to read this article. Just the title made me so mad. I basically got everything I needed from it. Yeah, this is bullshit, Kev. It's absolute bullshit. CD Projekt Red is ridiculous. And guys, I hate to say it, they got away with murder. They literally got away with murder. They murdered us as consumers, and they walked scot-free into the sunrise with our money. They have not shut down. They have only grown. And Cyberpunk is still out there, just a giant turd stinking up the place. And now they're literally raising funds for the game they're going to let you down with next.
So it's funny we bring up Cyberpunk. I'm just gonna burn one of my odds and ends right now.
Sure. There are no rules here.
They actually hired some people who worked on unofficial patches for PC.
Yeah, I saw that.
Just as employees. So more bodies in the meat grinder, I suppose. These poor unfortunate souls with bright futures, full of hope. Sucked into the black void.
What bothers me too is it's so like their whole attitude to this is so like, well, you guys fix the problem. Like that's what it feels like to me. It feels like, yeah, Cyberpunk sucked. You guys kind of fixed it, so we're gonna hire the people who kind of fixed it to kind of fix it more. Like, yeah, it sucks. I mean, great that they got a job. Sucks that they got a job at CD Projekt Red, but like. You can't even fix your own game that you released broken. You have to basically outsource that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and now this, where it's another one like, well, you guys give us money first. Now we want your money first. Like, even before pre-orders, we want your money first. Like, shame. For shame. For shame. For shame. C-Town 1980, just as a note, the creaky chair works as the old man rocks and yells at gaming industry. Equating me to an old man on the porch, basically yelling at children to get off my lawn. Neil?
No, I'm here. There's a big fucking spider on my floor right now. I need to go do that.
Yeah, kill it. Kill it. Kill it with fire. Kill it quickly. That was... It was unexpected, people.
Where'd you go?
Oh my god, we can still hear his audio.
Die, Satan!
I wonder if his wife's home, like if she's hearing that in the basement, or if she knows well enough that she's just like, oh, he's killing a spider. I heard him scream, "Die, Satan!" So he's killing a spider. That must be what's happening. Good. We heard all of that.
It was like the size of a quarter. It was large, and I don't know if you remember like what my basement looks like. I have light tile on the ground, and it was just black, just huge black spot crawling across the ground.
Like a Ronald Emmerich movie, just like the saucers coming in over the fucking DC.
Yeah, it was not pleasant, but this house is secure now.
All right. So back in this, C-Town equated me to an old man on the porch screaming at the gaming industry to get off my lawn, basically, with the creaky chair. He says that fits the aesthetic.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was the Discord things. Thank you guys for posting Discord. I appreciate it. Then back over to YouTube. Kev Too Tall's back. Debbie Downer with a ton of exclamation points. Yeah, she ain't got nothing on me, Kev. Kev Too Tall. I'm sorry, Neil. I didn't mean to ruin Zach's mood. Probably referring to his posting of the PS heatsink. I just want to point out, Kev, you didn't ruin my mood. My mood was shit long before I came into that podcast, long before I even got your post. When it comes to gaming, my mood is a big frowny face. Although I did find some light recently, and I'll talk about that later. Then Kev says, same fan, just a smaller heat sink for the PlayStation redesign. So, like I said, I think we'll have to see how it does in the wild. Still, I think I would feel gypped if I got a product that was less powerful than the product that was sold, and I had to pay the same price for it.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see. Like, really, we'll have to see. Like, if they just made it more efficient and it works better, fine. But from what I see, they took a part out that they thought they needed in the first one, and now I'm paying the same amount of money for a system that has a part removed. I don't know. That's kind of messed up. Jason, you think you have controversial views? If you know what my YouTube avatar is, you can probably guess some of mine. Jason, I know what your YouTube avatar is. I have spoken to you repeatedly about your controversial views. I know they're controversial. And I just want to say, regardless of political beliefs, religious beliefs, any of it, I think the one thing that America needs is people who are willing to be okay with somebody not agreeing with them. Everybody across the board needs to be more okay with people not agreeing with them. Like, hey, you've got those views? Fair enough. Are you hurting anyone? No? We're good. Let's move on. I mean, you can decide not to be friends with a person if you want, but you just still need to be okay with it. I think the polarizing is what's really bad. Everybody gets so fucking angry at everybody about everything, you know? And it's always like... It's always extreme right or extreme left. It's always like, you absolutely have to hate this thing, or you absolutely have to love this thing. And I'm going to say this. I know I'm getting a little political, but I won't go farther than this. I'm going to say this, and then I'll be done. The answer in life, and I've lived for 40 years, not as many as some, more than others, this is the wisdom. The answer in life is always somewhere in the middle. It is never extreme right. It is never extreme left. It's somewhere in the middle. And just nobody's willing to compromise anymore. So, just want to say that.
Zach, I think it's this trait. It eludes me sometimes. I believe it's called being an adult.
Yes. And I think there's a lot of adults out there that fail to be adults nowadays. And that's...
Yes.
And I'm saying that blanket statement. Like, regardless of views... I have met people on every side of every aisle there is in life, and if you believe one thing so much that you hate anybody that believes different than you, that's contributing to hate. It doesn't matter what the subject is. It just doesn't. As long as you're not... I mean, obviously you don't want, like, I'm not okay with Nazis, stuff like that, but like... Right. But like, you see what I'm saying? Like if the other person isn't hurting somebody and they have different beliefs than you, and you can have an open dialogue with them. I have two of my absolute closest friends. I mean, I actually have probably more in common with them ideology-wise than they even think I do. But we differ on a lot of things. But the reason they're my friends is we can sit down, we can have a conversation about it, and then at the end of the conversation we can go, all right, cool. Let's go play some video games, or let's go play a role-playing game. You know what I mean? God, we need to be more okay with that. And I truly believe Jason is one of those people, because I know he's got more controversial blues than me. And Jason is a close friend now. We've been playing games together for like a year, and I love playing games with him. Everybody needs to find common ground and compromise a little,
Yeah.
All right. So that's as political as I'm going to get. I don't think I offended. You're the barometer. Did I offend anybody on that one, do you think?
I am the barometer.
Well, here's the barometer of Neil, is he just gets real quiet, and then later on he's like, you fucked up, man, after I've long fucked up. He doesn't stop me mid fuck up. He just lets me hang myself, and then while I'm dangling there by a noose, go, hey man, you probably should have taken that rope off your neck. All right, so
you're not inaccurate in that description. Yeah, no, I think that you are nice and level and across the board. And
well,
we should all be friends.
We should all be friends. That's it. We should all be friends. Okay, so Jason then says, down in Kentucky, they think the Walmart lot is a raceway. Descendants of the moonshiners, y'all.
Yeah.
He then says, cheaters get a fake outer self-confidence, which I guess I kind of get that, Jason, but I don't know, like, I still feel like somewhere deep down inside, they know they cheated. Like, so you need a lag switch, bro. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Again,
it's still weird to me. I can't get in that mindset.
Like, sure, they know they cheated. I'm sure they know they cheated, but they don't need to acknowledge that because unless somebody physically sees your lag switch or whatever and accuses you of, running something like that, then it doesn't matter one way or another. That facade is already up. Like he said, it's like a fake. It's just a fake face that you put up. It's like, oh man,
I guess
I'm MLG Pro, dude. 360 no scope, 420 blaze it, man.
I guess, but anybody who plays
or
with
whatever
you,
thinks
anybody who plays with you who's half decent at a game is going to figure out you're cheating. Like,
right.
Phil knows when people are cheating. He doesn't need to see a lag switch. He knows, like, that dude teleported or he shot me through a wall. Like, I know. Like, if you had a friend who was like, I'm amazing at Call of Duty, and then you went to play with him and you watched him shoot a guy through a wall, you'd be like, you're cheating, dude. Like,
Right.
it's not an obvious thing either. It's so ridiculous. And you're not making anything off this. Like, you're not making money. You're not making... I don't know. You can't really make clout because if any clout you get, it just draws more attention to you and they're going to realize you're cheating. Like, you can't stream cheating, to get followers.
Right. Well, I did see there was a guy, this happened like a month or so ago. Some dude used a game stream that was somebody else's stream and streamed that gameplay, but like held a controller and acted like he was playing. So, like, he was basically...
Oh, that's genius. I think that's genius. I'm going to do that shit. Yeah. I need to do that shit. That needs to be me. I need to get on that. That needs to be me. Watch me speedrun this, bro.
How'd you get so good so fast?
It's just practice, baby. It's just all natural. Okay, so then Kev Tutal says, the purpose of rumble strips is to get your attention. A warning, if you will. Halo Infinite's launch issues have evolved from a bump in the road to rumble strips, all the way leading to launch. I understand your metaphor, Kev. I understand it. I was just kind of saying that, like, the difference is rumble strips are put there by a body that generally wants to protect you, whereas the rumble strips you're experiencing leading to Halo Infinite's launch is just like evil. Then back to Jason. Bayou Billy is Louisiana's Crocodile Dundee. Okay, so I want to ask you something, Jason. Feel free to comment on the next one. I really want to hear this. Is Bayou Billy really, like, based off an actual legend that I've never heard of? Like, the game, is it based off like oh, there was this guy named Bayou Billy, like it's a Louisiana like tall tale? Because if it is, I absolutely need to know that, like, need to hear it. Or are you just saying that Bayou Billy like the game is Louisiana's Crocodile Dundee? I need you to differentiate on that because I have to know the answer to that. Then Jason says, what I want to see, which ain't a remaster or remake per se, but I want to see a Captain N, the Game Master, the video game. That was the old cartoon show where he had a buddy who was Game Boy and he used a zapper and like he had Simon Belmont with him, right? And Kid Icarus was there.
I never saw it, but I know very well of it.
That'd be a sweet ass video game. And Nintendo could do that because it's all Nintendo characters.
Right?
Like, with the exception of the Castlevania stuff, it's all Nintendo characters. And they're willing to license to TV shows. So, oh no, that's a video game. Yeah. They might shut them down at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Jason, holodeck or bust. Closest thing we're getting to VR is direct neural override. And that's still quite a ways in the future, if our future lasts that long. I gotta say, Jason, I don't think I'm willing to have direct neural override. Whatever that may be, I don't want to partake of that. I think that's too much.
You ever heard of Sword Art Online? Have you ever heard of Sword Art Online?
Yeah, I know it's Sword Art Online. Yeah.
Okay. So Sword Art Online.
It's like that Futurama episode where they jam the new phone into their eye sockets.
Yes.
Like, no, I'm checked out. The minute you've got to put it into me, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I go into the game. The game doesn't go into me. Okay.
There was an old movie where that was the premise of it. It like to get into like this game world, you had to get some like squishy fleshy thing jammed into you.
Oh, it's Existence.
Yeah.
I know
yeah.
way too many old movies. It had Jude Law in it, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real fucked up. That was a real fucked up movie. It was a real fucked up movie. Then Kev Tutal says, "Oh, I hear the chair." Yeah, the third member of our podcasting group. Kev Tutal then says, "Nintendo also doesn't string you along with months of hype to tell you that you have to wait longer." And
yeah.
I hate to say this to a Nintendo comment, but amen to that. Amen to that. I gotta give Nintendo credit. They give dates. With the exception, I think Breath of the Wild went through some delays. But other than that, like, for the most part, Nintendo gives a date, gives gameplay, gives you the game. Like, it's a simple transaction. And that's how it should be. And then Jason finally says, "It literally calls the Lifetime Games Pass a sweepstakes. It gave me one free entry." So I might have to just jump on that for a free entry, honestly.
I mean, yeah.
It
would be nice though. It would be nice though if you could just get the card. Just like, hey, give us $20. We'll engrave your gamer tag on this, and then I can go out and flash it at like hotels and ask for a discount.
That would be funny. That would be really funny. Okay, so I think, do you got anything you want to add to fan traction, or do you want to move on?
No, let's go ahead and move on.
I'm all business today. I'm all business.
All business.
All business. I'm taking care of business in the public. All right, let's do this.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Well, we are very fortunate this week as...
Is that what we're calling it? Fortunate?
This is what we're calling it, because for once... For once, we finally have a major show up on television for all to see, and we're actually able to talk about it in a timely manner on the podcast.
That's
Granted,
true.
this isn't going up for a couple days, so
it's not really timely.
Kind of old hat still, but it's fresh in my mind for the most part.
That's fair.
So. PlayStation had their... I'm going to assume that this is their quote-unquote E3 show, because it kind of felt like it with what they showed and what they revealed there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going to do, like, the big call-outs first.
How about
and foremost.
just do it like we normally do it. Do a call-out, then we'll say a couple things about it, then we'll move on to the next call-out and just go through
I'll
them.
tell you, the thing that they opened with, that kind of blew me away. Well, aside from their dumb chess metaphor that they had, did you watch it at all or no? No.
I'm going to be honest with you and the viewers. Yeah. I for shame on me, I try and take pride in this podcast in watching the stuff we talk about. I could not bring myself to experience yet another fucking internet show. I just couldn't do it after Gamescom and E3 and every other fucking one. I feel like we've talked about one every 2 weeks. So like this time I perused the IGN report on it. There was one thing I saw that was really interesting. We'll talk about that eventually. But yeah, I did not watch it. I apologize to everybody out there.
The show opened with this weird, like, 4 or 5 minute long, I guess, analogy of Sony battling Microsoft in a game of chess in a giant city is the only thing that I can really think of. That's the vibe that I got from it. It was really weird and totally unnecessary. But once the show finally started...
To equate their rivalry to a chess match, just real quick, is like... I don't have a metaphor. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's more like
doesn't...
two monkeys slapping each other with turds. Like, that's what it is.
It's not even that. It's just like, yo, I don't think you really need to have... Like, they didn't have to have this be a thing. Like,
Right.
They would show, like, a giant statue of some Sony first-party thing, and then it would zoom over to the other person who was like, oh, I'm going to make a move on my giant chessboard in a corporate America skyscraper in the middle of this city, and then, like, people is just shifting back and forth. It was really weird, really unnecessary, and it just kind of took away from everything. But the very first thing that they opened with, which I didn't even know was even a thing, apparently they are remaking Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes, I saw that.
They are, and that's crazy to me. I have that game on my phone. Mm-hmm. I've never played it, but I don't know. I think now I want to wait to play the older version of it.
Wasn't that game originally an Xbox exclusive too?
I
feel like it goes with the shots fired opening, because when I saw that, I was like, I'm positive that was an Xbox exclusive, like an OG Xbox exclusive. So like that's kind of shots fired, because in my opinion, just looking at the list of things they definitely had bigger openers they could have gone with. That's a big one, but they definitely had bigger ones they could have gone with. To go with that right after the chess thing, now that you say the chess thing, I feel like is like, fuck you, Xbox! Fuck you, Xbox! Like, I feel like that was the spirit of the show at this point.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I mean, I don't know. There's some other stuff. It really did. They divided the show up.
Okay.
Very interestingly, they showed all of these announcements, and they made it like they do with all of these like first party shows. They made it very much seem like they're only coming to PlayStation. But then, like 3/4 of the way through, somebody pops in and says, all right, so from here on, you're going to see things that you can only experience on the PlayStation. And it's like, oh, okay, so this other stuff is cross-platform. Like, the KOTOR remake is also coming to the PC. Doesn't mention Xbox. So that is interesting.
That is interesting. I don't know how they could have gotten the exclusive rights to that. I feel like that's one of the ones like Xbox will do, where they'll say something and then very quietly you'll be like, oh, that's also going to PlayStation. I feel like this is going to be one of those that's also going to Xbox. It's just PlayStation paid a lot of money to have it on their stage. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong.
And while we are actually talking about remakes and remasters, we're just going to slide over to the rumored Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection that is going to be on PC and the PS5 as well. Now,
I mean, it's not rumored anymore, right? Like,
it's not rumored anymore. It's officially announced. But what I do find a little strange that, it's coming to PC, but they're only bringing a Thief's End, Uncharted 4, and then the Lost Legacy game over to the PS5 and the PC. Okay. So I feel like at least for the PC, they should have brought the Uncharted collection that brings the other 3 games over. But
do you want my thoughts on that?
What would those be?
2 games cost more than 1, Neil. It's so much easier to go, well, here's the Lost Legacy and 4, and then later go, and here's the 1, 2, and 3 collection that we've remastered and put together.
Yeah.
2 games cost more than 1. Like, I mean, that's what that's about. That's about money. They can then release that, because they're not going to release like they're going to want a trilogy. They're not going to give you all 5 games in a remaster,
Right.
So they're going to give you the 2, then they're going to give you the OG trilogy as something else. That's my thought. It's my tinfoil hat.
So then, sliding along furthermore into things that have already existed and are just continuing to not die. GTA 5 and GTA Online, they took a moment to wave that in front of our faces, I suppose, is the only way that we can really go about saying it. They didn't show us anything new. It just showed us, What? Not even like a side by side, like, oh, this is how much better it looks or whatever. And apparently, it has also been delayed until March 2022. I didn't know that it was supposed to have a release date or whatever to begin with. I honestly don't care enough, personally.
What a sad, sorry fucking state of affairs. Just a slight digression here that we are in this new generation of consoles now for nearly a year since they came out, and the games, the majority of the games you're getting excited about are games that came out a generation or two ago. Those are the games. Like, what a sad fucking sorry state of affairs that we are in for console games when, like, when's GTA 5 coming out for the 5th time? You know what I mean? Like, that's
right.
That's fucking... And nothing against GTA 5. Everybody loves it. It's a very popular game. They've added a lot to it. They've stuck with it. But still, like, it's just ridiculous. It's the same with the Skyrim remaster for the 97th time. It's like... And we're in this position because they released those systems too early. But I'm not going to do that again. So, continue.
All right, so now on to, well, I guess there's one other thing worth mention. I don't know. This was weird for me because a lot of what they were showing at first was like, oh, coming early 2022 and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, so it's stuff that's pretty close. And I believe this was the one that kind of threw everything off for me a little bit in, the positive feelings about all of this. So we got the Marvel splash screen, and we're like, "Oh, great!"
I was pissed about this one. I'm pissed about both of these ones. So let's do it.
We're just gonna we're gonna hit both of them one after the other.
Okay, let's do it.
So we see the Marvel splash screen, and it's like, "Oh man, oh shit!" They're already talking about Spider-Man 2. I'm like, I mean, it kind of makes sense, the original one came out, what was it, 2 years, 3 years ago. Then we have the remastered version. Then we had the Miles Morales one came out last year. That the little half step bump. Hey, we're still here. Don't forget about us. We're setting stuff up for the next game. And we got a shot of a bar with everybody beat to shit. And we see a dude sitting at a bar with some claws coming out. And just the splash screen, Wolverine. Okay, I am not upset about this being a thing that exists, but going back to the age-old issue that we always have, why has this thing been shown off when this is all that we have? That's it. I can see it for something that's like a remakey remaster thing, sure, but like this tells you absolutely then, hey, you know how Insomniac did Spider-Man? Yeah. Well, they're also doing Wolverine. And then in the same breath, essentially, I think it was the following trailer or the trailer after that, they went, also Spider-Man 2.
Which was another announced trailer.
Yeah, saying that it was in development, which everybody knew.
Yep. PlayStation is one of the absolute worst offenders of the announced trailer bullshit. And I'm glad you said it first. There's not a whole lot I'm going to add to it other than probably more angry and probably with the word fuck more. But, like, this is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. Those fucking trailers are already generating hype. People are already making those games in their head. They don't know what those fucking things are. They don't know what they're going to look like. You might have some idea of what Spider-Man 2 is going to look like because of the first two. But, like, you don't know. You don't know anything. You don't have gameplay. You don't have a release date. You don't have an announced trailer. And I'm telling you right now, maybe they have a team working on Wolverine. They definitely have a team working on Spider-Man. That's no brainer. But they don't have enough to show. That's for sure. We shouldn't be hearing about it yet. And the Wolverine one, maybe they have a team. All they did is they got the IP rights to it, and they contracted out a company, and they were like, put a dude at a bar with claws. The internet will go crazy. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me so mad because the internet has gone crazy for this. And it's like, there is this nothing. It's nothing. It's the equivalent of me walking into a crowded room and yelling the words, Wolverine might be a video game soon, and then walking out. That's literally what this is, but with shiny. That's it.
There's like one dude in the corner of the room like, didn't they do that for PlayStation 2 back in the day? Yes! And then continue to walk.
Yes! It's very frustrating to me because, and we're not going to see that Wolverine game for a few years. Not even a couple. A few years. You're not going to see that. So I don't know.
Insomniac gave Spider-Man 2 a window of 2023. So right now...
right there! If they're giving you a window for Spider-Man 2, and it's 2 years away, and they're not giving you a window for their bullshit Wolverine trailer, I mean, we're going to get to a point where we're getting announced trailers for games that are not going to come out in my lifetime, and I'm 40. Like, this is ridiculous! Ridiculous. We might have already gotten... Yeah,
Final Fantasy VII Part 2, like Elder Scrolls
6. Yep. Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's beyond the pale with these bullshit announced trailers. And that, I'm glad you talked about these because when we were going to do this show, I'm all business, so I was getting us into it. We didn't have as much, like, chit-chat time. I had said I wasn't impressed with the show, and you were. The main reason I wasn't impressed was these two fucking trailers. These trailers, just set the fucking world on fire, and, they're bullshit trailers. They don't mean anything, and it's very annoying. Plus, what's even more annoying and great for PlayStation fans, it's not great for PlayStation fans. They're gonna be exclusive. You're gonna polarize the gamers again. So, people can't get it. It's just, that kind of shit is really, really frustrating and annoying. Especially in 2023 when this is going to come out, you know?
Yeah.
It's just too, we're too far in for this kind of exclusivity bullshit anymore. It's not Sega, it's not Nintendo. Get over yourselves. I don't know. But, alright. So I'm done ranting about it now.
Well, before I actually continue on with the other things, there was another remakey, remastery thing that happened, and it completely slipped my mind up until now.
Okay.
I did not play this game, but apparently I'm going to have an opportunity to here soon. Alan Wake is getting remastered.
Yes, Alan Wake is getting remastered.
Which I've heard nothing but good things about that game.
I beat Alan Wake.
Yeah,
I played it from the start to finish.
I remember when it came out, it was everywhere. And that was roughly about the same time that the first BioShock came out.
It actually was a commercial flop, though. They didn't sell enough. That's why Alan Wake has Yeah. I'm kind of surprised you don't know that. It didn't actually make enough money. It's a cult. It's got a cult following. But when it first came out, it didn't sell that well. And that's why Alan Wake... I think they got one, kind of almost DLC-sized sequel in American Nightmare, and then it's just the property's been gone because it didn't sell well. It was not a success for Remedy. It is looked at as a success now, but it wasn't at the time.
Huh.
But I will say I played through it, and it was not my favorite game.
Really?
I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad, but there's not a lot to the combat, and it's kind of a horror game, but there's not a lot to the horror. So it's kind of, and they never really explain what's going on, and that's the thing that really bothered me is the ending is so open to interpretation that I'm no. I did not play this many hours to not figure out what the fuck is happening. I guess spoiler alert. I didn't really tell you what happened, but. At least in my opinion, they never really figure out what's happening. But yeah, it's interesting that it's getting a remake. It'll be very interesting. Or a remaster, or whatever they call it.
So, moving back along with the jumping all over the place, Gran Turismo 7. Yeah, I'm sure that's a game that people are anticipating.
Can I say something about it? Because I know you're going to move on to the next thing fast, because it's just a racing game. One thing about the racing games, universally true about racing games, is they are amazingly good at showing off technology.
Yeah,
they're really good at showing off graphical technology. So again, huge mistake on PlayStation and Sony's part not having one of those ready for when the game came out. And usually these kind of systems do release with a new big racing game. I mean, Xbox did the same thing. They're guilty of the same thing. Their Horizon isn't coming out to this year, and I don't think they had a racing game at launch. I don't think they had the last Forza. They might have, because I don't follow the main Forza, but I don't think they did. Nonetheless, the racing games are really like they usually come with launches just because they showcase technology so well. So it's kind of a botch. This is good now though. This is the year they should have been coming out.
Right.
just saying. Forza Horizon's coming out. This is the year that these systems should have been coming out. But whatever. All right, that's all I need to say on the racing.
Well, I'm just going to jump over to another one that was just more so. I was very interested in this from seeing it just because it scratches that hack and slash itch for me.
Okay.
It's a new IP. So here I am kind of, in this weird spot. Project Eve.
Ooh.
So
I think I know that one.
Yeah, apparently it was announced in 2019.
Yeah.
I have no anything about that. I must have missed it somewhere. Very much, it looks like Devil May Cry in space plus Doom, kind of.
Nice.
Like Doom creatures with Devil May Cry gameplay, very fast paced. Looks very interesting. It almost looks like it's trying to invoke like a Soulsy sort of look. But
oh no,
I don't know.
I have never seen this. This is interesting. This is very interesting.
Oh yeah. So you're looking
at a lot of anime titty shit though.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of anime shit. It's a lot of anime shit. But one, that's my bag. Right. And two, it is that fast paced, stylish sort of action game that I really like. So I would be very interested to see how this one turns out. Unfortunately, we got nothing other than the name. No release window, anything like that. So, I mean, good on them, I guess, for not trying to put expectations in our head.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of, still, did we get like any sort of release window or anything like that?
No window, anything. It's just this, and it was gameplay.
I give them that. I give them the gameplay.
I don't know. I think they're just trying to, I guess, make it as polished as they possibly can, and maybe they're playing it smart by not giving a release date, because we're still in the COVID times.
Hey, man, don't give a release date if you don't have one. And don't do a trailer unless you got gameplay. So I can't necessarily be upset with that. They gave us gameplay. They didn't give us a release date. I would rather have gameplay and a release date or shut the fuck up. But still, they didn't break any of my cardinal sins, so I'm okay with it.
So I'm just going to move into the last two. I'm going to start with the one
You're definitely missing one, but go ahead.
No, there's two of them. Like I said, there's two of them.
All right.
The first one was the big one, the one that we've all been waiting for, that has been teased at some point.
Excuse me.
So many times that it's in development, this, that, and the other, and we have an official name for it: God of War Ragnarok.
Which we knew.
Well, they didn't. I don't think they actually gave it the title Ragnarok. It just said Ragnarok is coming. Light spoilers if you have not played 2018 God of War. It ends with the beginning of Ragnarok. And if you know anything about Norse mythology, you know what happened and what is going to happen. So they showed gameplay too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We got a lot more story reveal than I thought that we were going to get.
Did they give a release date on that one?
It's next year. Okay. I think they gave I think they gave a window. I think it was spring.
Okay.
If I am remembering correctly.
Wide window.
Yeah, kind of a wide window. Lots of opportunities for another delay or two.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited as hell for that. There was I am also remembering one other thing that there was. I forget the name of it. Basically, you play as a girl that gets sucked into Fantasyland. It's
definitely forgetting
me.
one then.
No, there's one more other than that. I just remembered this one. The one that I saved for last because I'm pretty sure this is the one that you're going to have something to actually say about. So you now know
how well do you know me?
I am waiting for last. And let's just get into it because I can't remember the name of the other one. I'm kicking myself because watching that whole trailer, it was like, wow, this looks great. I'm all about this, but I can't remember the name
Hold on. IGN. What was it? It was just a Sony event?
Yeah, PlayStation Showcase.
Okay, PlayStation Showcase.
Yeah, I'm gonna scroll around a little bit here and see if I can find it.
Everything announced. We got Ragnarok, Spider-Man. And Venom's gonna be in Spider-Man too.
Yeah, Venom's gonna be in. Forspoken.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I know Forspoken.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I was. I know they had talked about it, and we got a bit more information as to what that game actually is. I am about that. That looks cool. But I can't be super hype about it because I forgot the fucking name of it.
It's never gonna come out. Like I've seen it repeatedly. They've showed it off, and it's made by somebody like big, isn't it? Like I can't remember. It's somebody who's like, holy shit, they're doing it, and I can't remember. But
Square Enix and Luminous.
Right. And Luminous. It's never going to come out, and when it comes out, it's going to be janky as shit. Square Enix is a terrible company. I'm going to say it now. Square Enix has been behind a lot of the failure for Outriders, even though it's been kind of put on People Can Fly. While People Can Fly didn't handle it properly, Square Enix kind of fucked them on a lot of things. Like, Square Enix is in charge of all the servers for Outriders, so every server issue they had that they got shit for was actually Square Enix's fault. And Square Enix is behind Marvel's Avengers. Like, sorry guys, Square Enix has been producing some shit lately. It really has. And I'm just not excited for anything they're making right now. And this game was the game that we talked about a while ago that you didn't remember or hadn't seen yet. And
something like that. Yeah.
And the thing about this game that I don't like is how graphically pushed it is. And it's like, to me, I'm like, this doesn't need this. Like, this is all graphics right now. And they were talking like the actress and stuff, and it's all graphics. This is a show. Even with the games, even with the gameplay they showed, it's a show. And I don't know. This game worries me. And this game is the kind of example of like what this was something I was going to talk about somewhere else. But Sean, what's his face, the ex CEO guy of PlayStation, talked about basically how the games industry is too big now. It's imploding on itself. Like it's cost for these games to be this good is insane and never able to be recouped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that game is like a perfect example. Like, why do we need a game that looks like this? I don't need a game that looks like this. Just make it play good. You know,
right?
But just my opinion.
All right, yeah, no, it's I hope it comes out and I hope it's good because it looked good to me.
Hey man, I hope everything comes out and it's good.
But anyways, back.
I just don't believe it anymore. I used to believe it was gonna come out and be good. Now I just don't. I'm like, I hope it all comes out and is good. I hope I'm wrong on everything I ever say on this show. 100%. Anytime I'm negative, I hope that I'm wrong. I really do, because I want to be wrong. I don't want a bunch of people to be miserable about their game so that I can say, told you so. I don't want that.
Right.
I want the game to be awesome. I want to be like, hey, I was wrong. This game is great. I shouldn't have said what I said, and good for them. But I'm just so used to being right, it's irritating. I should never be right, is what I'm saying.
All right.
I should never be right.
Hopefully your wife does not listen.
Oh, I'm never right with my wife anyway. My wife's a lawyer. Well, she's paralegal, but she's basically a
Close
lawyer.
enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't win any fights. That's not it. Here's what happens with my wife in an argument. One of two things happens. I admit I'm wrong, or much less, I get her to admit that we're both wrong somehow. That's it. There's never like, you're wrong, I'm right. Never, never. She could stab me and find a way to like be like, well, you deserved it. That's straight up.
Tries to get you to stop bleeding by serving you a cease and desist.
Right. So
all right.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
the last one, the one that you have been chomping at the bit, trying to get us to talk about here. But yeah, I am.
Well, I'm sorry.
Surprised.
I didn't think I was forcing it that way.
No, because I was going to talk about this anyways. And honestly, I was super surprised that this was the place that it showed up. We got gameplay for Tina's Wonderland.
Yes, we did. And this is a very interesting foyer. I specifically went out of my way to watch this trailer. Because this is because I've been really wondering what this is going to be since I saw the announced trailer, which irritating. But since I saw that, I was like, man, I'm really interested to see what this is going to be. And well, you go ahead and say what you want, and then I'll say what I want. I always keep interrupting you, so go ahead.
So I'm not down on this. This is not a down thing.
Okay, all right.
But I was expecting less Borderlands, if that makes sense. I was expecting less emphasis on guns. I was expecting there to be like crossbows, but like they have full on like guns in there. But that's not a problem to me overall. I just hope that there's a bigger focus on melee, which it looks like. Because some of the loot showers, it looked like there were actual melee weapons coming down too. So,
I know I said I wasn't going to interrupt you, but I'm sorry. I watched the trailer 3 times just to try and pick out some details. There's 100% characters using specific melee weapons in this. Now, I know there's always a melee attack with characters that use, but this really does look like they're finally doing a Borderlands where melee weapons are in it. Just saying. So continue. I just wanted to say because I watched it more times and I noticed more of those
which is great because I'm also that weird ass who likes to like in Mass Effect, I like building out my character to melee. What is it? The Sentry, I think it is the class that you teleport around like a crazy person. And that's what I like doing for some unknown reason, is just running up on dudes in shooters and punching them. Yeah. So this leans into that for me. Outside of that, though, I love the fact that you see your characters holding a weapon in one hand and shooting spells and shit off in the other. I was so concerned that they were going to lean full into just up and down. It's like, yeah, this is medieval fantasy, but here's your machine gun.
Right. And
no, like, shield, spells, anything like that. It would have been cool to see a little bit of the character screens to see the builds, like the skill trees. That's what I was looking for. It'd be cool to be able to see skill trees and stuff, but I mean, we still have a ways off. I'm sure they can go ahead and, do something at some point with that.
Okay. May I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. That wasn't saying.
You're totally.
I just didn't want to interrupt. Okay, so I've watched this trailer a couple of times. I have a couple of thoughts, both positive and negative. Number one, I do think there's going to be melee weapons. I think they finally doing that in the game. There's definitely going to still be guns, and I'm okay with that. But I do love that there was a crossbow in the game. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw.
There's 100% a crossbow in the trailer, which already that's cool. So it looks like we're going to have a much more diverse weapon portfolio, not just guns, but a lot of other things. I am super, super, super interested to see what that multi-class system that lets you mix and match 6 unique character skill trees, all with their own awesome abilities, is going to be. I think that is really cool. I have a couple of things that make me nervous.
Okay.
I I hate to say this because I'm very excited for this game, but I do get some Fallout 76 vibes from this. And the reason I get Fallout 76 vibes is because, Fallout 4 came out and it was good. It was awesome. It had bugs, but it was awesome. And then like a year later, maybe 2, I don't even think it was 2. I think it was like a year later, they did 76. They announced and then they released 76. Everybody saw those trailers and was like, that's really cool. I'm really excited about that. But this game looks a lot more geared towards online games as a service play, which I'm okay with. I've said that repeatedly. I'm okay with that if you do that right. And I think Borderlands already kind of is very heavily wading into the games as a service pool anyway. We've talked about it on the show repeatedly, like with their standard events and this sort of thing. But the way this kind of looked to me was a little bit more. This is going to make you upset. I don't want to make you upset, but it was a little bit more like a Destiny style than like old school Borderlands with just a straight storyline. I feel like you're going to get, and I would be excited for this, but I feel like you're not going to get a straight story. I feel like you're going to get more like a roguelike experience with this. I think the way it's going to work, and for me, that's kind of looks like how they're setting it up with the whole role-playing thing. Is that you make the character, then you head into the mission, and the mission kind of like generates for you, and then each time Tiny Tina does it, it's kind of procedurally generated over and over again. That's the vibe I got from this trailer. I could be doing a lot of like reaching on this. I'm just saying, I'm very into procedural generation. I'm very into roguelike, and I know the key signs for that when I see stuff like this, and I feel like there was a lot of key signs here. So it makes me very nervous that this is not going to be the experience that a lot of true Borderlands players want. That being said, I'm very excited by this trailer. I like the gameplay. I like the release window, March 2022. I like the fact that means they're basically almost done with it. So, I mean, they could delay, but if they hold true, this is the kind of way I would like a release. With the exception of the announced trailer that they never should have done, this is the kind of like releases we should have in gaming, where, hey, here's the thing, here's some gameplay, we'll show you some gameplay in a month, we'll show you some gameplay in another month, and then bam, we'll be on. Maybe there'll be a beta somewhere in there,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think what you're gonna see too is a lot of like, all right, your class and your friend's class, and you all jump in together to do a thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I get that feeling to me. I could be very wrong, and if I am, but I could be very wrong. I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
I hope and pray that does not come to pass. That it is not a Fallout 7060 sort of thing.
Well, I don't think it should be Fallout 7060. I personally, in my perfect world, it's more like procedurally generated roguelike shooter fighter, which I'm all for that. I'm all about that. Take my money. But like, I don't feel like this is going to be a standard Borderlands experience. I mean, not just in the combat or the character creation. I feel like the actual way this plays, it's not going to be just like your normal Borderlands where like you go to a place and you get a mission and then you get all the side missions and then you do that and then you go to another place. Like, I don't think that's going to be what this is. I don't think this is going to be a linear experience.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that if they do it right. It's just I want to temper some expectations out there. I really don't believe this is going to be a Borderlands, like a straight like Borderlands game. Like, I don't think this is going to be like the pre-sequel was, spin-off wise. I don't think this is going to be like, here's another Borderlands game. I don't think that's what this is going to be. This is going to be Borderlands, but they're going to do some different stuff with it. I really feel like it.
Yeah, I just hope, like, Borderlands 3, I feel like for me personally was the perfect blend of the live servicey stuff with an actual like gameplay. Like there's the campaign that you play through and you finish, but then they also have the live service like events and stuff like that on their own off to the side that like bleed into the main game, like how they had like the Halloween thing and everything like that. I'm totally 100% okay with that.
I am nearly positive that's not what this is going to be.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be more geared towards. Honestly, I think it's going to be a roguelite. I really do. I think that's what it's going to be. I think they saw Hades. I think it's procedural generation in a lot of ways is very easy to do. It's not easy to do. I don't want to downplay it, but as far as like writing and stuff, procedural generation does a lot of that for you. I think this is going to be something like that. I think that's why I think it's going to be like they saw, those games have gotten very popular. I think you're going to sit down to play a campaign with your buddies, and I think there'll be a storyline with it. But I don't think it's going to be necessarily linear. I think because the whole thing takes place in a Tiny Tina game, just like anybody who played Borderlands 2's final DLC. It was Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Yeah. It was all like you were inside a role-playing game, basically. That's what this is going like. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, like that is 100%. It's going to be Tiny Tina. Game mastering a game that you take part in. I feel like this is a real easy way to do like the dwarf game that I love so much, Deep Rock Galactic. I think that's what we're going to be looking at here. You're gonna have a hub area. You're going to do some stuff. You're going to upgrade your character. Then you're going to go into a mission, and then that mission will probably have a story, but it'll be shorter. And the actual level and enemies will be more procedurally generated based on like factors and stuff, because they loved to play with that in 3. They loved to play with stuff like that, with the whole True Hunter, Vault Hunter stuff. They loved to play with the modifications. And then you'll come back out, whether you win or lose, and you'll go back in again. And I think that's what we're looking at with this experience. That's personally what I saw from that trailer. That's what I thought.
Well, all I can say is we will know in March, or potentially later if it gets delayed again.
One of us is going to get way more excited about this. One of us is going to get a little bit sadder. Yeah. And Phil Billy's just going to be happy because the builds are going to be there.
Yeah, if they come out and say like, oh, like live service or like, something like that, I can deal with some amount of procedural generation. I just can't deal with here are the same 5 points on the map. They all just kind of generate different things, but the end result is always the same.
Well,
it's
and
just how you get there.
That's roguelite. That's roguelite. I'm with you. That gets boring after a while. It really does. And I love roguelite, but that gets boring. You have to have some sort of external factor that continues to make it more interesting to go in. Like Hades. Hades is roguelite all the way. It's exactly what you're describing. It's you go point X to point B to point C to point D, and each one of those points have factors within them, but the actual map themselves is generated each time you go in. But there's enough around it with the story and the characters in between the runs that keep you wanting to do it. So you have to have some sort of mechanism there. And I think like it can't just be like a dungeon crawl every time. I think if they're smart, they'll put like some story factors into it, some procedurally generated story factors. That's what I'd like to see. I'm playing this game. It's another odds and ends. I'm quickly running out of them, but called Wildermyth, which I'm going to be reviewing. That just it is absolutely amazing, and it shows that like procedural generation doesn't just have to be about like sandbox games. It can be directly about the story, because this game procedurally generates the stories you play, and it does it in a way that the story is cohesive and awesome and really cool and unique. So like. I feel like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands has a chance to do that. It's just... And, again, I'm speculating. I don't know if this is going to be procedural generation. It's just... Do me a favor, man. After we're done here, watch that trailer again with what I just said in mind. Watch it from start to finish and see if you don't go, I kind of see what he's saying. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, whenever Kayla gets home this evening, I've already said because I had to watch it for this. She's
Right.
out of town currently. Whenever Kayla gets back tonight, I've already said we're going through and watching that again. So
Message me when you're done because I want to see what your thoughts are because that was just the vibe I got from it, and I really got that vibe like, and they already did something like that kind of with the Proving Grounds, and I feel like this is going to be an evolution of that rather than just another Borderlands game. And in a way, I'm okay with it because if you do it right, I love it. Those are the kind of games that I love, that I absolutely love. So like, I would be down for that. It's just I don't think, given the 3 times that I watched this trailer, I really don't think this is going to be Borderlands. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
yeah.
But who knows? I could be completely wrong. I could be completely wrong.
Well, we shall see. But outside of that, unless I missed something,
Nothing that I saw.
I believe that was the show for the most part. So
It's definitely all the big stuff.
Want to go ahead and move on to the next thing? Given the time that we're at, I'm assuming that's going to be odds and ends.
Yeah, definitely odds and ends. Definitely odds and ends.
Alrighty.
I'm down with that. All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our third talking point, our final talking point. Well, not a third talking. Oh my God! It brings us to odds and ends.
And ideas.
Odds and ends is where we collect smaller news stories that don't necessarily deserve an entire talking point, but stuff we want to make you aware of, stuff we want to riff on, stuff like that. Neil has 4, I've got 3, and you already kind of heard 2 of them. So Neil, go ahead.
All right, so they have officially announced the next Halo Infinite beta test flight thingy. September 24th is when it's going to start. It's going to primarily focus on the arena and big team battle PvP. They gave us a little taste of that at the end of the last flight. Unfortunately, I wasn't around for that, so I missed out. They did say that to be able to be a part of this, you have to be registered with the Halo Insider program by September 13th. But we shall see. We shall see what sort of changes have been made and if we can all overlook the shitstorm surrounding this game.
Hashtag boycott Halo. Okay. So my first one, I'm going to go with the new one first. And that is THQ Nordic is doing a big, like, I think it's 10th anniversary or maybe 20th anniversary show or something like that. Celebration. Guess who's fucking hosting it?
Oh, is it Jeff Keighley?
Dude, this guy is a rat. This like he's like a cockroach. It's just in everything, man. How does he manage to do this? I'm wondering if like if you're a game development company and you like say the word online showcase more than 3 times in a room, it's like Candyman. He just like appears through a mirror. He's like, hey, I'll host it. I'm Jeff Keighley. Like, well, how does this fucker show up? He just appears out of the shadows. Yeah, Jeff Keighley.
Don't you know who I am?
I'm Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley. Who are you, Jeff Keighley? Like, you're fucking nobody.
What do you do, Jeff Keighley?
I'm just Jeff Keighley. That's it. I'm just Jeff Keighley.
That's literally all I do. I am Keighley.
I am Keighley. I walk into rooms and go, I'm Keighley.
He's a Pokemon. He can only say his name.
Keighley! Jeff Keighley! Jeff Keighley! Jeff Keighley! Be like, hey, Jeff,
Keighley
do you want to...
host. It is super effective.
Oh, man. All right, that was my first. You can go.
All right. So let me go back over here to the other side. So Microsoft, I guess, is already talking about making another console. So we knew that this was going to be their plan moving forward. We didn't know how often it was that they were going to do this. According to rumors on comicbook.com, Microsoft plans to launch a revised Series S console late next year. You heard that right. Next year, late 2022. It's somewhere around the time where the people who wanted the launch consoles might actually be able to get them without killing other human beings.
I hate gaming. I hate it so much right now. It's so ridiculous. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You shouldn't have even released this system until possibly late next year, and you're releasing a new system? Like,
Yep. Yeah, I don't. And I had seen somewhere else too that they're already starting to have rumors flying around about the PS5 Pro in 23.
Yep.
So here we are. We are almost 1 year into the current generation. Nobody except for a very small handful of people can get their hands on any of these consoles. That we don't even really have games for these consoles. And they're already talking about some new shit they want to sell us.
Yeah, it's absolute insanity. It's absolutely insane. Not even shit they want to sell us. Shit they want to sell you without any game. Like, just a computer system. Like, and this is where we're at now. They're all phones. That's what we're gonna do. Every year you gotta buy a new game system. Like, are we really gonna do that to ourselves? Are we gonna really do that to everybody? And how are you fucking sustaining that? How are you sustaining that? Because we know for a fact that these companies take losses on all of these systems. All these systems. I mean, they'll probably make some on the upgrades because they always do. But, like, what are you fucking doing? What is any of these people doing? It's like they're in a race with no one at this point. Like, yeah. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna go to my next odds and end.
Go ahead. What do you got?
I don't know. I wanted to talk about I think it's Sean Labor. I think is his name.
Sean Layden.
Layden. That's right. He was the PlayStation CEO. So the PlayStation CEO. He walked away 2 years ago, and basically it was because he was fighting with the guy who's in charge now, the Ryan. He kind of alluded to it without alluding to it, like they asked him about it and he was like, I don't want to get into that, which means you definitely
some shit went down.
Yeah, like 100%. Like, you only say you don't want to talk about it when, like, you punched somebody or called somebody's wife a whore.
Right.
Like, that's, like, you don't want to, like you want to talk about it if you're like, it was amicable, but if it's not amicable, you're like, it's complicated. Oh, okay. But
he makes us just want to know more.
Right. He basically said that the games industry, I'm paraphrasing here, basically said that the games industry is in a very scary state, that they are spending more and more and more money on these games to do basically the same thing they've already been doing, and they can't cover the costs to make it up. And basically he was like, crunch, the delays, the hype train, kind of all of it comes from the fact that, like, game companies are trying to do too much. Basically trying to do too much. And I've been saying that on this show forever. You look at the indie success, like indie game success in the last few years, especially during COVID, but even before that, those games have 8-bit, 16-bit graphics sometimes, and they're fine. They sell like gangbusters. Like, people don't need the best graphics. They need games that are good. They need you to stop lying to them. They need you to release it on the day that you want to release it on. And they need you to stop trying to screw them over. That's what people need from gaming. And, like, they don't need the game to be so pretty that, like, the upgrade isn't even noticeable by your human fucking eye. Like, I don't need my system to do that. I don't need my system to work better than my eye. Like, who is that benefiting,
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's a really interesting thought. But his thing was even more focused on the money. Like, he thinks that the game industry, though it makes all this money, it's the biggest earner, it actually spends more than it makes, which will lead to a serious dropout. And honestly, at this point, I hate to be this guy, but I'd be all right with it. If the game industry kind of crashed a little bit and all these AA games got all the spotlight that they deserve, I think we'd be in a hell of a better place right now. Just do.
Yeah, I almost feel like it needs it almost needs a crash to kind of do a nice little reset to make sure that everybody's back on the same page.
Well, and it sucks because you never want anybody to lose their jobs. You never want anybody to be miserable, and a crash would definitely make a lot of people miserable. But at the same time, it's how a forest rejuvenates itself. Is a fire happens every once in a while. Like
right.
Sometimes you got to burn something down to make any progress, and I feel like the games industry is at this point where it's like critical mass on the triple A level, and it's what are we doing this for?
Right.
Like it's almost like hubris at this point. It's not even like getting anybody anything. It's just seeing if you can do it to do it, and that's not the point of gaming.
Right.
And I'd be much more interested in the more interested systems and processes that come out of like AA and single A games, which I'm going to talk about in my next odds and ends. But I will hand it over to you.
Alrighty. Well, there's been a pretty interesting development in that long-going Apple and Epic lawsuit, which is actually going to tilt it in Epic's favor. Weirdly enough, we kind of thought that it was going to be Apple who was coming out on top with this. Basically, a ruling has come out of Korea that allows third-party payment systems in apps. So no longer are there any sort of penalties or anything like that. Korea has stated that via their law that anyone who is running an app, anything like that, you can have your own dedicated website set up for in-game purchases. So we take this back to the Fortnite thing.
Yeah.
The whole reason they got kicked off was because they were trying to get people to buy V-Bucks off their site directly, and Apple wasn't having any of that because they wanted a cut of that money.
Yep.
It is being referred to as the first crack in the walled garden.
Yeah.
And I kind of am feeling it. I'm feeling that could be a thing because, granted, that's just one ruling out of one country, but it sets a precedent, and it's very interesting that this happens while they are in the middle of this lawsuit here in the Americas. So we will see what bearing that has on the overall lawsuit.
Well, and like we've said before, both sides are wrong. I feel like the fight was picked just to pick the fight,
Right.
And it hurts people in the long run, but what Apple and Google are doing aren't right. So, yeah, there is a lot of stuff happening right now, especially with the Blizzard stuff too, that I feel like we're the boulder is being pushed over the cliff, and now we're just going to watch it roll down the hill and see what happens, and I could be wrong. In 2 months we could be back in the same place, but I just feel like we get more and more stories of people going, hey, this isn't right, and changing things, that we're gonna start to see shit, for better or for worse, go down,
Yeah.
My final odds, I want to end on the absolute positive note, highest possible positive note that I can end on, and that is, if you have $26.80 laying around, you're a gamer and you enjoy procedural generation, or you enjoy a good story, or you enjoy fantasy stuff with tactical elements, go to Steam, buy Wildermyth. Absolutely buy this game. It is... I'm saying this right now. I don't know what Back 4 Blood is going to be, but right now as it stands, it's my game of the year. And the reason it is it's doing something with procedural generation that I have personally never seen procedural generation do ever. Usually when you have procedural generation, it's generating either characters or a map or something. And because of that, especially with the characters, the story sometimes is disjointed. Things kind of happen out of place. Even with State of Decay 2, which I love. I think it's a masterclass of procedural generation. It's still occasionally somebody's saying something to somebody and it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wildermyth takes the procedural generation engine and it just doubles down on the story part. Very clearly they were how do we use procedural generation to actually generate cohesive stories? This game is fucking phenomenal, Neil. Absolutely fucking phenomenal. It is it's like a tile-based strategy for combat, almost like a board game. But basically, you start a story. You procedurally generate 3 characters, and then right off the bat, you hit a comic book. It's not overtly long-winded, which is great. There's no voice acting because obviously, like 3 people made this game. But basically, the stuff is generated based on the characters' personalities. So the words will be different every time. The big situation beats will happen the same way, but they will say completely different things each time. Plus, they'll either become friends, rivals, or love interests, which changes the stories. And then anytime you go anywhere, like you go into a fight, you go to a new town, you go to recruit somebody, anything, it spawns a procedurally generated story that builds and fleshes out the characters in your group and around you to the point where you really, really, really attach to the characters. What's even cooler is you play through like a story, which is like 5 acts usually, like 3 or 5 chapters, and it takes you a while. It takes you a few hours. Like I played the first chapter I got through in about 7 hours, and that was the 3-chapter tutorial one. And then everything after that is 5 chapters. So you're looking at like quite a few hours of gameplay here. You can, like, those characters age through the chapters. Like, each chapter is like 10 years apart, and then in between you get to see what they did, and they have kids. Those kids then become characters that join you, and then you get to play with their kids. And then when you get all the way through the chapter, all those characters go into a legacy pool. And then when you start a new story, you can recruit characters that are still alive out of your legacy pool and continue their legacy with other stories. It's so fucking cool. It is absolutely one of the coolest things I've ever played because, you know, one thing you've always have a problem with procedural generation is the story, if I recall correctly, right?
Some degree, yeah.
Yeah. This one generates a unique, interesting story literally every time you play. Every time you play. And I have yet to find something like a piece of dialogue or wording that didn't make sense in the moment. And what's crazy is they tell each other jokes. They make sarcastic remarks to each other. And I'm like, how the fuck did they procedurally generate comedic timing? But somehow they managed to do it. It's just such a beautiful game, Neil. Such a beautiful game. I am so happy with it. And the last like 4 purchases I've made, I've just been miserable with. Like I think it was like Marvel's Avengers, Outriders, and something else, and it's just like, God, it's just all shit, you know. But this one was just so good, so good. I'm done.
Well, I'm glad you're having a good time.
It's really good.
I'm glad you got something that's not a pile of shit.
Yeah, so am I, but I'm guessing you're building up to say something about a pile of shit.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Actually, the complete opposite, my
All
final
right.
odd and end. So, something interesting happened yesterday. Well, yesterday at the time of we're recording this, on September 8th. So, I am a huge fan of Undertale, as many know. And Toby Fox put out it's not a sequel. It's hard to explain what exactly it is. But Chapter 1 of Deltarune, his next game, was put out for free, I believe it was about 2 years ago at this point. Last year, for the anniversary of Undertale, the 5th anniversary, they actually had a casting of a full symphony orchestra doing the soundtrack for the game. And it was at that point we got some information too on Deltarune Chapter 2. We had heard absolutely nothing at all from Toby Fox in regard to that for a while.
Right.
In fact, we have heard nothing essentially for an entire year. Well, yesterday it was announced for the 6th anniversary of Undertale, they are going to do a playthrough stream of the first chapter of Deltarune with Toby Fox doing text-to-speech commentary because he is not a fan of being in the public eye. He gets kind of nervous with that sort of stuff, so
Okay.
he's going to do some commentary of it. Now, what is really interesting is in the invitation video that he posted announcing the stream, there is a hidden message in all caps that says, "Don't pay attention to this," or "Ignore this," that is.
Okay.
So we are thinking that we may finally get some information on Deltarune Chapter 2 on the 15th. As the last time we heard anything about it last year, he said that he was about 85% of the way done with Chapter 2. So, I hope.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for you, buddy.
Yeah, I really hope.
Fingers crossed for you, buddy.
He had to take some time off from programming because he had some health stuff going on for a while, but hopefully everything's back on track and we will go from there. He was trying to hire people last year, so we'll see.
All right. Fingers crossed for you, man.
Fingers crossed.
Just
I'm
gonna
hoping.
keep on saying that.
Yeah.
That's how I roll. Fingers crossed. Anything in gaming now is just fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed.
Just
Fingers
keep
crossed.
my
Fingers
it's
crossed
real.
for you. Fingers crossed.
And if it is real, fingers crossed it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so are we done with the show?
Yeah, I think we're done.
All right, let's go to plugs.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. So as far as plugs, you got anything to plug? Don't plug the thing we talked about before because it's already happened.
Yeah, I just thought about that. So
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it, and I was like, don't do that. It's already happened.
Whatever form it did/will/have taken, it was great. I'm sure it was great.
It was an awesome thing. It's awesome.
It was a thing, and it definitely happened. Or unfortunately, we couldn't get it to come together. We don't know yet because it's currently in the future. But when you hear this, it will be in the past, and you'll know what happened.
Yes, right.
Outside of that, I mean, it's just Halo Infinite Road. Outside of that, I think it's going to be the last bit of episodes we're going to be recording here soon for this ODST Halo Noir season.
I think so. I don't know because we also promised Firefight. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think the Firefight thing is also to just kind of pad it out because we originally thought we were blasting through it a lot faster than we were, and then it seems like we aren't. But I have no bearing as to where we are in this game because it's my first time playing it. So it's all I can plug to you is that it is happening. These are the plugs this week. Things are/were/will be happening.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I'll take over from there since I have a little bit more concrete details on things. Number one, I want you guys to keep your eyes open for something coming back. At the time of listening this, you will notice that Wasteland 330 had a very strange final kind of episode. Me and Phil Billy talked about it. Wasteland is not going so well for the series sort of thing. There's just so much inventory management, and we really don't want to do that on camera, but the amount of time we get to play, we end up having to, and so it kind of worked out. So I think what we're going to do is actually bring back an old classic, and that would be Led Astray. But we're going to do it a little bit differently this time, where me and Phil switch off picking co-op games that we can play online together. So, and probably it'll be like 3 episode chunks, kind of like Prelude, but like broing out while we do Prelude and trying to convince the other one they should be playing a game outside their comfort zone sort of situation.
This sounds good.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm very excited about it. I have plenty of games I want Phil to play. Unfortunately, as far as like surprising him, there's a bunch of games that I want him to play that's only one player, and we can't do what we did in the first Led Astray and actually like be in the same room. Not that we can't, we just don't have time. But yeah, so keep your eyes open for that. I don't exactly know when it's going to premiere. I'm assuming it's going to be 2 Fridays from right now, but I can't promise that. Other than that, I do want to give a little special plug. I am now switching on streaming on Twitch. I believe Phil Billy is also going to get in on this. We are at Old Man Gaming DH on Twitch. On Twitch, we're Old Man Gaming DH. Please check us out. We have the same icon.
Are you not the same on Twitter though?
On Twitter, we're Old Man Gaming 9. On Facebook, we're Old Man Gaming DH. Old Man Gaming was, of course, taken. But, Old Man Gaming DH on Twitch. Please check me out. Give me a follow. I'm trying to get affiliate status, so I need 50 followers for that, so please do. Right now, there are no scheduled streams for Twitch. We're using it for, like, hey, we got time, stream sort of situation. So we are... As it currently stands, I've been streaming a lot of No Man's Sky. I also streamed one time with Wildermyth. Neil, if you want to go check that out, I've got an hour-long stream with that. And then I also streamed some State of Decay. Danny from Britain is also on there. And I stream with her sometimes on Twitch, so check us out on Twitch. Please give us a follow, give us a like. Not changing anything for YouTube. We're still doing the same amount of stuff on YouTube, still doing the Streets of Rage stream Tuesday nights and the lunch stream Wednesday mornings. So yeah, just check us out on Twitch as well. And everything else, you can check out everything else we have to offer here at Old Man Gaming. And you can also talk to us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. Link will be in the description below. You can influence us in all of our shows from there. And guys, as long as you keep watching, you keep listening, we'll keep on making them. We'll see you guys next time. Giant birthday parties for children are ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous. Me and Melissa, that was one of our big things. It's like, we're not having those giant, like, gift feeder things where you invite all these people and the kid doesn't even understand what the fuck is going on. Like, yeah. I hate that shit. I went to one of these. We used to have this friend with kids, and her kid was like 3, and it was like there was like 100 people at this thing, at like U-shaped tables, and the kid was in the center with just like a mountain of presents that she had to open. She had to open and then go and thank the person that gave it to him. This kid barely knows how to speak, and you are like trying to get her to remember to go to not only open the toy, but don't be excited about it. Go thank the person, move on to the next toy, or we're going to be here for 4.5 hours. Like, what a fucking terrible way to make a birthday party a fucking monotonous, tenacious chore. Like, oh, God, I hate that shit.
And everybody that attends does the same exact thing. They're putting their gifts down strategically to be the one that is grabbed first.
Yep.
So the second that gift gets opened, they stick around for one more present and be like, all right, well, we gotta head out.
Yeah, do that Irish goodbye. Just like vanish into the blackness. They got the present. We're out, man. We're out. It's fucking ridiculous.